Hey y'all, welcome in. Today we're kicking off the NFC portion of these predictions I've been doing. If you are interested in an AFC team, those videos are on my channel. You can go ahead and check them out for my breakdowns for every team. But today we have the Detroit Lions. And before I get into this, I want to talk about their schedule, which their road schedule, their home schedule is whatever. It's middle of the road on difficulty. Their road schedule is one of the toughest road schedules I've ever seen in my life. Off the top of my head, I can't remember a harder one. You take away their division, which very, very good division. All three teams can beat them. I'm not saying they're like should, but they're all good enough too. But outside of that, you have the Ravens, true Super Bowl contender. The Bengals, definitely they're up there, probably top 10. That's probably one of the easier road games, which is crazy. Kansas City, we all know how good the Chiefs are. Washington having a big, explosion as far as how good they are. They made the NFC Championship game last year, and they're hoping to do better this year. We'll see. They're at Philadelphia, defending champions. They're at the Rams. They're top 10 in Super Bowl odds as well. They're at the Vikings. They went 13-14 wins last year. And they're at the Bears, who, they're up and coming. Those are divisional games, of course, but it's brutal. It's brutal. But let's get into it. Week 1, on the road, Lambeau Field. I think this is a good draw for the Lions. I think this is a tough game, especially if it comes later in the year. And I think the Lions are going to be fired up the way their season ended last year. Packers, it's not like they're happy about the way their season ended, but the Lions was way more demoralizing. They were at home, favored by at least a touchdown. They thought they were a shoo-in for the NFC Championship game. They had Super Bowl aspirations, and they just got walked on at home against Washington. So I think they come out firing. I think they come into Lambeau and get a win, start this thing out 1-0. Home against Chicago in week 2, we all remember Thanksgiving last year. Chicago had a chance to tie it, and the most atrocious clock management you've ever seen cost the Bears a chance at even a field goal, much less their chance at a touchdown, and they lost that game. So I think the Bears absolutely have what it takes to hang with the Lions, especially how they've improved in the offseason and with the new coaching staff. But it's early in the season still, I will take the Lions at home to win that one. Week 3, on the road, Monday Night Football against the Ravens. This is a tough one. I don't love the matchup for the Lions against the Ravens here. I don't love it. And ultimately, I'm going to give them a loss in this one. I think the Ravens are built well to beat the Lions, and the Ravens perform exceptionally well against NFC teams, as we all know Lamar Jackson does seem to do oddly well against them. Week 4, though, a nice bounce-back game ready for them at home, as I think they take care of the Browns fairly easily and move to 3-1 on the season. Worth noting, I love looking at it. I know it's preseason, way in advance, but it gives you an idea of the games. The Lions, the preseason line, they are underdog by 3.5 in Baltimore, so that is significant. Just putting that out there. Then week 5 in Cincinnati. This is one I've gone back and forth on, of course. I think this is going to be a great game to watch. This is that 4:25 Eastern, the prime game in that window on Fox. Whatever Sunday that is, I think it's early October. And this is one you're not going to want to miss. This game should be a shootout. It should be a lot of fun. Should obviously be close. And ultimately, I do have Cincinnati coming out on top in this one. I think they have a bit of a bounce back year, but it could go either way. That's going to be a great game. Very excited for that one. And then the following week, they're in Kansas City on Sunday Night Football. This is a brutal 2-game road stretch here, and a brutal 3 out of 4 games here. In 3 out of 4 games, you get 3 of the AFC's top contenders. You miss out on the Bills, but wow, yeah, that's a tough little stretch, and they need to come away with a win. They can't go 0-3 on these. They really just cannot with how brutal the rest of the schedule still is. So on Sunday night, in front of a raucous Arrowhead crowd, I do have the Lions coming out of there with a win to improve to 4-2 on the season. And then the next week, home against the Bucs is an interesting one. It's a team that came into Detroit and beat them last year, and I think they match up well and they play well against the Lions. And in a lot of other spots, I would take the Bucs here, and I do like them. But primetime game at home for the Lions, crowd's gonna be going nuts. It's a Monday Night Football game, and Lions know how important their home games are going to be this year. When their road schedule is as brutal as it is, you cannot be dropping home games, just period. So I think they get this one, riding the momentum from the Chiefs win, move to 5-2 on the season before their bye week. Then week 9, you get a Vikings team that is a very good team. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. I'm not a Vikings fan. I'll make that clear. But I feel like you always have to make that clear before defending a team, because that's the first thing people think when you defend a team. But I think the Vikings are getting a lot of hate this year when they had an amazing season last year. And, I mean, they lost Darnold. Sure, I don't think Darnold is that good. I think Seattle didn't necessarily sneak away with anything there. J.J. McCarthy should be fine. I mean, he could be horrible. Yeah, they could stink. It's possible. But, I mean, the great offensive mind on the coach there. Great weapons. I just think they're going to be good this year. However, that being said, on the road in Detroit, I will take the Lions. That whole spiel just to have them lose. But just wanted to say that. Week 10, on the road in Washington, the team that eliminated them from the playoffs the previous season. This should be a fun one to watch. This is another one of those 4:25 Eastern games on Fox. And, this is a tough one. But ultimately, I do have the Lions winning this one and moving to 7-2. I just think they're a bit better. And Campbell, he seems like a guy who can get his team fired up for a game like this to face the team that knocked you out the season prior. I think he can get his guys going for that one. So I think they win, move to 7-2. Then you get a Sunday night football game in Philadelphia. The NFC Championship that was very close to happening for a couple years in a row, but just didn't. I guess a couple years ago, Eagles were out in the wild card. But anyways, these two teams have been very good for a couple years now. And last year, we thought for sure these were going to meet in the NFC title game, but they did not. However, that being said, I will take the Eagles. I think the defending champs are going to be a bit too much for the Lions, especially in Philadelphia in this scenario. But a great bounce-back spot for the Lions in Week 12, home against the Giants. Should be no problem taking care of business, and they move to 8-3 on the season. And then they're home on Thanksgiving. Remember 2 years ago on Thanksgiving, the Packers came into Detroit and beat them, and then last year, Green Bay came into Detroit and almost beat them. I think after losing, this is if the Packers lose at home to the Lions in Week 1, I think the Packers get them back here. I don't think they get swept by the Lions, and I think the Packers win this one on Thanksgiving once again, and the Lions get disappointed. And that moves the Lions to 8-4 in the year. Then they're home for a Thursday night football game against the Dallas Cowboys, a team that I don't know exactly how they're going to perform this year. Not that I know how anyone's going to perform, but they're a tough one to read. Regardless, though, I like the Lions team much better. They're home, giving the Lions on Thursday night to move to 9-4. Then this one, a game I've gone back and forth on. The Lions beaten the Rams last 2 years. One of them being in overtime, both being in Detroit, and I would argue the Lions got slightly worse and the Rams did improve. This one's in LA. I think the Rams win it. I think the Rams are a little bad blood against Detroit. I think it goes both ways, of course. But I think they do finally sneak one out against the Lions, and the Lions fall to 9-5 on this season that started out with a very promising 7-2 record. Then Week 16, they're hosting what will likely be an Aaron Rodgers-led Packers team if he can stay healthy to that point. And I think this could be a sneaky good game. I think it's one that even Lions fans probably don't have circled. They're probably writing that one off as a win. Teams like to do that. If they're home against the team and it's not like a Super Bowl contender, fans just are like, okay, that's a win. So definitely not the case in the NFL. That's not how it works. But I think this could be a sneaky good game. I think Steelers could give them a close one, but Lions at home, they need this, their last home game of the year before 2 tough road games. They get the job done. And then it's off to Minnesota on another Thursday night. That's 3 Thursday night games just within 30 days, which is crazy. This one isn't a night game, though. This is a 4:30 Eastern kickoff on Christmas Day in Minnesota against the Lions. Against the Vikings. What I said about the Vikings earlier in the video now is important now because I think the Vikings get this win. I think the Vikings get the win on Christmas. I think this late in the season they will have had time to really figure things out. I don't think McCarthy is going to light the world on fire, but I do think he's plenty good given the system, the weapons, and just how he looks. I think he's plenty good to get the Vikings into that playoff contention. And I think this really could be a 4-horse race for the NFC North. I mean, the Bears, it's hard to say. They should improve. They improve the roster. They improve the coaching staff. Another year for Caleb Williams. But you never know. Sometimes you bring in a new coaching staff and it just blows up on you. So no guarantees there, but if it works out for them, I think this could be a 4-horse race for the division. And honestly, I don't even know who I love to come out of it because I think the Lions are definitely the best team of the 4. I don't think there's too much debate in that, but they do have the toughest schedule of the 4, so it's tough to call. Week 18, though, in Chicago, it's going to be cold, icy. It could be windy. It should be windy, the Windy City. I think it's a tough one for a dome team in the Lions and Jared Goff, not the best outdoor cold weather quarterback. He's still an NFL quarterback. They get paid to do this for a living, millions of dollars. He'll be fine. I don't expect him to explode in the cold. But he does struggle a little bit. And I think the Bears can get it done at home. And the Lions finished 10-7, a rough end to the year. But really, if you look at it, this is 10-7, which Lions fans would maybe consider disappointing, which I would disagree because the schedule is insane. But you go 10-7, and that's even with you winning at Kansas City and at Washington, 2 games that could be losses. Now there's losses on here that could be wins, but it's just a brutal schedule. It's brutal. I don't think they could get more than 12 wins this year. I mean, that's hard to say. They obviously can. They're a very, very good team, one of the best teams in the league. They could win a bunch of close games against great teams. It's very possible. But, man, this schedule is so tough. I'd be shocked if they won more than 12. But they're a good enough team. I'd be shocked if they lost or if they won less than 8 or 9. But 8 or 9 would definitely be a disappointment. But with this schedule, it's very possible. This is an insane road schedule. So they better start learning how to win some road games because if not, they're gonna be in for a rough one. So let me know what y'all think. I'm sure Lions fans aren't happy about 10-7, but frankly, I think you should be if they were able to get to 10 wins with this type of schedule. And they lost coordinators, lost a few players. They're due for a slight step back. So we will see. They're still going to be a great team if they sneak into the playoffs, which I think they should. I'd be shocked if they weren't in it. They should be as dangerous as ever, and they should be considered a Super Bowl contender. So that's the end of this one, and we will continue on with the rest of the NFC North in the next few days, and then the rest of the NFC following that.